May the words of my lips and the meditations of our hearts be always acceptable in your sight, O Christ, our rock and our Redeemer. Have you noticed that sometimes life is a way of knocking the breath out of us, upending our expectations, like now, for example, when we're all in isolation, confined, with the questions that keep coming. How long will this go on? Is there a future for us? Where is the hope in the midst of this pandemic? Today, the Old Testament reading from Ezekiel can be applied to our situation very, very clearly. Because you see, Ezekiel lived and prophesied during the time of the Babylonian exile, when God's people were isolated, had been carried off. Not quite like us, but in a time of trauma. And there were many questions. Questions such as, why? Is God still with us? Is there hope? In Ezekiel, we can hear the people crying. We have been cut off. We are like dried out, lifeless bones. We have been tossed aside. We have been abandoned. We are landless, hopeless, and breathless. And the message of Ezekiel to the landless, hopeless, and breathless is that God is not finished. He's sending his Holy Spirit to restore, to refresh, and to breathe life and hope into the community. The story of the dry bones and the breath of life that God promises gives us the hope that even in this time of trouble, with the terrible irony before us that the COVID-19 virus steals the power of our breath, and that is how it kills us, the breath of God's Spirit is with us, just as it was with the exiles. And to a people that feel they're cut off completely from life, God promises that he will put his Spirit with them. Not just individuals, but more specifically the entire community. And what was true for them is true for us now. Breathe on us, breath of God, and we shall live.